guys, welcome back to my channel. So in this one I'm going to tell you about my experience being 35 years old, a single mom. I have a 13 years old daughter who lives with me every second week, and single, and how I actually cope with it. Now I'm using cope in quotation because I personally, being single at this age is not something that I find distressing in any way, shape or form. Not being a multimillionaire at 35 is something that I find depressing. That is something that I actually have to cope with. Being single though, not so much. Okay, but I do know that especially for women who desire motherhood, women who want children, I know that it can be very distressing being single at 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, right? So toward the end of the video I'm going to give the very real solutions that I have for that. What I tell my friends who are in their late 30s and don't have children and really want kids, right? This only applies if you desire motherhood so much so that you feel your life is purposeless without it, that your life is not worth living without it. But first, I'd say if you are single past a certain age, what's going to be really important is investing in platonic relationship, right? And that is true even for the most introverted of us. Okay, like I would describe myself as someone who is very, very introverted, but human beings are social animals. Being introverted doesn't actually mean that we don't need human connection, right? Okay, all it means is that we get drained from it, we get exhausted, we need to recharge our social battery, but that doesn't mean no man, no woman is an island. Okay, so we do need other people. Everybody needs somebody, like my friend Cynthia would say. Okay, so invest in platonic, non-romantic relationships, be it family members. I know that I talk to my mom almost every day, my grandmother, my daughter, and my friends. So try to keep in touch with somebody, anybody. 2 minutes in and first interlude already, lol. But forgot to say that it's important to invest in platonic relationship because loneliness will have you settle, period. Okay, the number one reason why I find women settle is because they're lonely. Okay, if you are all by yourself, if you got nobody to talk to, nobody to go outside with, nothing to do with no one, you are going to settle for a horrible man. Yeah, I know that we live in a time in the internet where it is trending for everyone to say I have no friends, da, 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 da. All I got is me, all I do all day is self-care. But it is my belief that these people are just hurt. I find that it takes a lot more courage to put yourself out there again after you were hurt, because friendship breakups are actually very hard. Probably, in my opinion, more even painful than our relationship breaks up. And I find that a lot of the people who are in the I have no friend, I'm not interested in friendship thing are just hurt people who are too afraid to put themselves out there again, which, my God, is their prerogative. But that was the side note because of ADHD. Another thing that I advise young women to do who are 26, 27 is live your full life. Okay, don't put your life on hold. Your life is not going to start the day you meet a man. I say this all the time. So travel, learn a second language. If you have the means, buy your dream house. If you have the means to do so, buy your dream car. Okay, do not rehold on these things thinking, oh, maybe this is gonna scare man. It's only gonna scare insecure men, which you don't want them anyway. They're gonna make your life miserable anyway. Yeah, so live your best life. Okay, live a full life and let a man be an addition to your life, like a cherry on top of the cake. But don't want a man, you don't want a man to be your whole life. You don't want him to be your identity. Okay, because that's just sad. Okay, and trust me, you'll be down bad if you do that. Now I want you, if you're watching this video and you're 26 or 27, to ask yourself, or in your mid-20s anyways, to ask yourself, do you actually want to be in a relationship? I feel like this is something that's not talked about often enough because, oftentimes we are raised to be in a relationship, right? So women go to college and then from there it's marriage, it's children, and we just believe that is the next step, right? The question is, do you even want that? I feel it's important for young women who are in their mid-20s to ask themselves, do I actually want this? Do I want to be responsible for somebody else's problem? Do I want to be responsible for a whole human being for the rest of my life? Or am I just doing this because that's what I was told I was to do? I think this is very, very important. So ask yourself, And be honest. You don't, need the answer immediately. It won't happen maybe in one day, but you do want to, journal and ask yourself and be honest with yourself. Do you even want to be in a relationship? Do you even want to get married? Do you even want to have kids? Now, if you do want that, work towards it, right? Like, it will never cease to amaze me the amount of women that want to be in a long-term relationship that never leaves their home. That's not how it works, okay? Unless you're gonna marry the guy that deliver your Amazon packages, you need to leave home. You need to go outside, find you a third place. I have a video about this. I'm going to try and link it either on top or in the description box down below. But yeah, try dating apps. I'd say ideally try both of them, because the more dating is a numbers game, right? So the more people you meet, the most likely, what you're looking for is among them. The more likely you are to be compatible, or to find someone that you're going to be genuinely compatible with. So you want to, if you really desire a relationship in 2024 where dating is dying, if not dead, you want to alternate the apps and going outside. Okay, so you want to get on the apps, but at the same time you want to be outside and see, where it is that you are going to meet your person. Just know that probably you're gonna have to go through a lot, okay? Because baby, the dating pool has pee in it, okay? As a matter of fact, it has poo in it, and the poo is floating, so it's on top, okay? So it's what you're gonna get first, it's what you're gonna meet first. Like, just be ready, because what's out here in these streets, honey, it ain't for the faint of heart, okay? So courage. But maybe you'll find out that you don't actually desire to be in a relationship, right? Like, I personally am very indifferent towards entering a relationship at this point in my life. Like, I'm not looking for a man. If a man was to find me, I guess I would have to see, do I actually want him? And maybe potentially I will get into a relationship, but it's not something that, is something that is at the forefront of my mind right now. It's not something that I'm focusing on. It's not a goal of mine at the moment. I don't actually, I'm not actually looking for someone. But now if someone finds me, that's a different thing, but I'm not actively looking for someone. So maybe you'll find that that's your thing. Or maybe you'll find that, you don't want to be in a relationship at all whatsoever. And that's also okay, then just go out and live your best life and accept the fact that, you just want to be by yourself. I find in that case it's not even necessary to discuss it with people, because it seems like people are really bothered by single women who are just happily single. So, just pretend to be on the hand, I guess. That's what I do a lot when people are like, every time you meet somebody new and they ask, what do you do for a living? And then inevitably they find out that, you're single at a certain age, and it's always like, oh, like kind of pity. And I'm always like, yeah, and I don't get into it, because it don't matter, people don't care. They are convinced that we are as obsessed as they are, to be in a relationship, to be married, yada yada yada, blah 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 blah. It's best to just, don't engage. I find discussing your relationship status past a certain age, especially with married people, is kind of a losing game. So for me, I would just stare at them like dead in the eyes, So when they get into everything that I should try, in their opinion, to meet somebody, which I don't need, I know exactly, what I was to do if I wanted to meet someone. I know exactly where I could find him. I would just look at them like, and not say a tone, okay? Now, it is a bit awkward, and most of you guys are probably not boundaried enough to be able to do this, but I just be there, be like, and around, 45 seconds, a minute will pass, and they'll move on because I'm mad. Okay? But yeah, just avoid the subject. I guess change the subject if you're not like me, if you're not capable of staring people as if they were mentally ill, which they probably are, because why would you be that invested, in someone else's romantic life? And obviously this is anecdotal evidence, but I have found in my personal life that the people who are the most invested in the fact that I'm 35 and single are miserable. So they are married, they're in a relationship, but they are very, very unhappy. Like, the relationship is very toxic, they have a lot of issues, they talk to me about it regularly. So I have found that these are the people who are most invested in me no longer being single. So I don't know if it's because misery loves company, but it's just something that I have noticed. Now, another way to cope or accept, you know, being past a certain age and single, understanding that there is nothing wrong with being single, right? Contrary to popular belief, there is no deadline on finding your person. Actually, people who get married younger are most likely to get divorced. So people who get married in their early 20s are more likely to get divorced than people who get married in their late 30s. And that's because when you are in your early 20s, you don't really know who you are. So if you attach yourself, you know, if you hit your wagon to someone for life and you change and they change and you guys do not change in the same direction, then chances are at some point you're going to have to separate because you're no longer going to be compatible. So understand that being single is not a disease. I know that oftentimes when we tell people our situation, they go like, oh, as if, you know, they had pity or they feel pity for us. But understand there's nothing wrong with being single. There are worse things in the world than being single, okay? Being ill, being in a toxic relationship, being in a relationship with a man who is physically, verbally abusive, okay? All those things are worse than being single. So understand there's nothing wrong with being single. Also, there's nothing wrong with you personally for being single past a certain age, or with me. I know that the late but not me, okay. Kevin Samuel said that we are leftovers, but baby, any man, okay, hear me out when I say that any man will be lucky to wake up to this face and that will marry and the lame, okay? So I understand that I'm not a leftover. I understand that there is nothing inherently wrong with me, you know, like there's something wrong with the dating pool. There is not enough decent men to go around. That doesn't speak for me. The fact that I'm single at this age doesn't speak for me. I've been in several long-term relationships. I've been married. It's not because something is wrong with me or something is wrong with you that you are single past a certain age. Now, if you don't feel like that, then I say try being the best version of you possible. Okay, so work out, eat healthy, drink water. Okay, you want to go out there and, you know, feel like you are the prize, okay? Until you feel like you're the best thing since sliced bread, you don't want to go out and be dating. Baby, if you have low self-esteem, men are going to put you through it. Honey, you are going to be used, abused. Just don't do it, okay? If, again, until you feel like you're the best thing since sliced bread, the best thing that could ever happen to any man in this world, do not go out there and date. Just focus on you, focus on your self-esteem. Obviously, do not go out and date if you have young children. I feel like this should be a given, but somehow it's not. I see a lot of women with, you know, 18 months old talking about dating. Honey, you have something else coming your way. If you have a 1.5 years old, you need to focus on your baby. Okay, that is literally a baby, not even a toddler. So focus on that. Don't be outside. Don't be out here trying to date when you have an 18 months old. Okay, focus on your child. Don't be trying to date if you don't have your money in order. I know that, you know, we're at a time of hypergamy and and men taking care of you, But the truth is, most men do not have any money. And I know this sucks. I know no one wants to hear this, but this is not my opinion. These are the stats. These are the facts, okay? 85% of men make 55K. These are not my words. This is not my opinion. You can Google it. Only 17% of the American population, not men, 17% of the American population makes 100K or more. So 17 divided by 2, does that make 9? Not even. Okay, 8 point something something. We know that, okay, there are more men obviously being high earning than women. So I'd say maybe it's 9% of men in America that makes 100K. Now, that is not enough for Audemars Piguet, Patek Philippe, first and business class tickets, the house, you know, with the white picket fence and 3.5K. That's not going to be to pay for their college tuitions, their college funds. Now, you know, if you remove the married one already, the gay ones, you know, the ones that are shorter than you, the ones that don't want kids if you do want kids, and the ones that do want kids if you don't want kids, then, you know, you're probably left with what, 3% of men? Now, I'm not saying do not aim for the top 3% of men in America. Obviously, that's your prerogative. And honestly, that is still millions of men. Like, for real. But yeah, just know there are also other millions of women who are trying to partner this man, and, you know, the competition is going to be stiff. But by all means, you know, go for it. I hope you land one of them. But I felt it was important to, you know, sprinkle that into this conversation, since everybody's talking about how men are so worth partnering since they pay for everything and da 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 da. Well, no, they don't, because most of them can't. Okay, it's not because they don't want to. I'm sure there are lots of men that would like to provide for their woman, but they can't. They don't have the means, they don't have the money to do so. They can't. Okay. And that's on statistics. So don't argue with me. You argue with your weak. Okay. Now, what I was saying before I went on to this whole tangent about men not having any money is you need to have some money. Now, you don't need to be a multi-millionaire or whatever, but I do feel like, you know, if you don't have a place to live, if you don't have, you know, I'm not going to say if you don't have a car. I do think you can date if you don't have a car. You can just take the bus. I don't think a car is a must in order to date, but I do feel like, you know, you should have some form of money. You should have, you know, a place to live, not necessarily your own apartment where you live alone. Even if you have roommates, that's okay. Maybe you have a room at your parents' house, but you do need to have, you know, some form of income, even if it's not very high, I feel, you know, because again, ladies, can we talk about how some women go on date and not take any money? Now, listen, I've never had to pay for a date in my life. I really haven't. I'm always invited for whatever reason, but I'm always prepared to pay. Okay, I always have my own money. Like, anything to say, it goes without saying that I'm never re-seeing a man that asks me to pay half of the bill, but principial, I am going to pay my share, or hell, even the entire thing if a man asks me to, because baby, I'm just not about to argue with any man about the bill. Like, I know the girlies on TikTok are like, if a man asks you to pay for the bill, tell him no, you're a man, you're a gentleman, you're the man who invited me. Yeah, I'm not doing all of that. Okay, if a man asks me to pay my share, my half of the bill, I'm probably just gonna pay the entire thing, you know, excuse myself to my Uber and block him. You cannot go out on dates and not have any money whatsoever. Like, what are you gonna do if the bills come and this man asks you to split? Now, I know the chances are not high he's gonna do it, but what if? Always be prepared for every eventuality in life, ladies. Please do not go out on date without any money, especially with men you don't know, especially on first and second dates. It's risky. Okay, me no advise that. Always make sure, you know, you got $50, $75 on you. You have money for, you know, an Uber, a taxi, the bus. Yeah, I say always make sure you have $50 to $75 on you wherever you go, because wherever you're going, because yeah, who knows what can happen. Anyways, ADHD side note number 3. So what to do if you're a woman of a certain age who does desire a child and, you know, doesn't have kids, and let's say you are, you know, 35. We know that from 35 up is when we say that the pregnancies are, you know, it's when gynecologists say that pregnancies are becoming, you know, risky, and, you know, your life potentially is in danger, or the life of the child. Is also when, you know, there are more tests that are made on, you know, the fetus in utero around month number 5 or 6. I do believe that, you know, there is a punction that is done on the water that the baby is laying in order to make sure that the baby doesn't have any form of deformations and, you know, stuff like that. So if that is your case, if you're a woman that is 35 and, you know, you are starting to wonder, you really want a baby, and your biological clock obviously is ticking, I say do it by yourself. Okay, because honestly, most married women are also single mothers, as quiet as it kept. Why do you think the second shift is a thing? Okay, I would say 70 to 85% of married women are single moms. Okay, they do most of the work, they do most of the chores, they do most of the homeworks, they give the children most of the bath. You know, men love to weaponize incompetence by saying, oh, the baby's asking for you, or you're the one, you know, who have the breast, so you're the one who can breastfeed him or her, or, you know, they have 1,000,001 excuses anyways to get themselves out of whatever. And most women are doing it all by themselves anyway. Most women are the one who pack the lunches. They are the one who, again, do the laundry, they're the one, you know, who drive. Why do, you know, you always hear about soccer mom, you never hear about soccer dads. Like, did you guys notice? You never hear about soccer dads. It's so, I never heard about it. That's how rare it is for dads to be really involved, because they're not. You hear wine moms, you know. I know I'm a wine mom. You don't hear these terms for dad, because not that they're not wine dads, but because it's just not, dads are not generally very involved in their children's life. You know, some men, those who can, will provide, like we've established. Those are far and few in between, but yeah, generally women are the one who do most of the work. They are the one, you know, who drive the kids to friends for sleepovers, the one who hosts the sleepovers. So if you're a woman and you really feel like your life doesn't have a purpose, because you don't have a child and you have the means, right, financially to take care of a child, there are lots of content creators here on YouTube who talk about their journey through single motherhood by themselves or by choice, right? I say do it, right? Hopefully, you know, ideally you have your family to help you up, your mom, your sisters, if you have any. But even if you don't, and you are financially in a position where you can afford to take care of a child, I say go for it. Obviously, make sure you are emotionally stable as well, that you are not suffering from, you know, unhealed childhood trauma, you know, that you perhaps talk to a mental health professional before engaging, you know, in this journey, before hitting the sperm bank, okay? Because believe it or not, your situation is not going to be that much different if you actually had someone in your life. I know that's unbelievable, but yeah, go out there and read the studies, because the numbers are in, and women are down bad. We are down bad. Yeah, but I guess all in all, what I wanted to say, what I'm trying to portray in this video is, I don't want younger black women who are in their mid-20s to be scared, to be afraid, to see these TikToks of women crying about, you know, being single past a certain age, and talking about how, you know, they always thought they would get married at 25, they always thought they would be a mom by a certain age, and feel like, oh, this is my future, I'm going to be miserable. Not necessarily, okay, not every woman who is single past a certain age is miserable. I know I'm definitely not miserable, and I am 35 years old and single. You know, I have friends that, you know, are 29 and single, and they're not miserable. I actually have a friend that is in her 50s and that got married recently, so also understand that, you know, it can happen for you still. There's nothing that is wrong with you. Like, women get married at 40, at 45, at 50, at 55. So it's not because you're 30 and not married that you're never going to get married. I know that the incels on the internet love to talk about how, you know, no one wants women past a certain age, da 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 da, da blah blah blah, ta ta ta. Oh well, you know, Jeff Bezos is with Lauren Sanchez when he could be with any or a lot of 19 years old or 20 something years old would be with Jeff, and yet and still he's with a, you know, mature woman of his age mate. So yeah, so clearly it's not all men that desire to be with a woman that is millions of years younger than them. There's nothing inherently wrong with women in their mid-30s. A lot of us are, you know, in shape and fit and gorgeous, hilarious, confident, smart. I know that I have thousands of matches on Tinder, and I'm sure I could join any other, you know, app and have the same amount of matches. Okay, if I actually put in the dedication, like I say right now, dating is not my priority, but if it was, and I was really going on dates, you know, 5 times a week, like I have before in the past when I wanted a relationship, every time that I did that, I actually ended up in a relationship. Because if you put in the time and effort and dedication necessary, like with any goal in life, you're going to get there. So don't listen to, you know, the incels and red pillars on the internet who talk about how something is inherently wrong with women who don't have children, or, you know, are single past a certain age. If you don't have kids, that's okay. If you don't want kids, that's okay. You don't have to want them, you don't have to have them. You are the most important person in your own life as long as you're happy. Your life is about you. You are the main character of your life. You're the most important person in your own life. So all that matters is for you to be happy. with yourself, with your situation, with your condition, for the love of you, okay? And that's it, that's all. But yeah, you guys, that is my own personal experience being 35 years old, a single mom and single. It's not something distressing. Yeah, it's not something I think about a lot, you know. I mean, I don't wake up in the morning and be like, yay, I'm 35 years old and single, but I'm not also like, oh, I'm 35 years old and single. You know, it's something that I actually just don't think about, to be honest. Like, unless I talk to people and they be like, well, how old is your daughter again? And then, you know, they try to put it together and they find out that, you know, I'm a woman of a certain age and still single, and these are the only times where I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever, you know. But generally I don't think about it. If you made it to this point of this video, I'm grateful and appreciative of you. Please let me know in the comment section down below, do you actually want kids? Don't you want any? Or are you happy being single? And I will talk to you guys tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Bye guys. Mwah. Thanks for watching.